All right, and there we go now. We're live. Hello there, chat. We're live now. I am still a hard man. Let's go. All right. Hello, hello there, everyone. How are you all doing this fine, epic, brilliant, and lambacious night? So, I had a bit of an in and out with Jay Dyer in his chat tonight. So, if you wanted to know what I was doing, I was trying to have an interaction with Jay Dyer himself. Yes, the Jay Dyer. The one and the only Jay Dyer. And I was trying to have a discussion about the filioque, papal primacy, uh, and a few other things, and he would not address it. He simply would not stretch out to accept any argument with it. And instead, his mods just banned because he's a bitch. That's what he does. This is the guy who went in with his wife's Facebook, used his wife's Facebook to steal material from Rick Perry and his knowledge about the church. He would go in to his wife's Facebook. He'd log into that and go look at Rick Perry's Facebook and steal material. He would steal material from his wife's Facebook. He ran away from a debate with Southern Israelite. Ran like a bitch with his tail between his legs. Ran away from a debate with Southern Israelite. Now, Southern Israelite is a piece of shit, but he did win a debate with Jay Dyer. Jay Dyer had better philosophy, but Southern Israelite had much better roots in terminology, and basically Southern Israelite had a better epistemology, but Jay Dyer had a better metaphysics, a better grasp of metaphysics. So, I mean, I hate them both, but right now I'm pissed off more with Jay Dyer than anything else. Then, of course, Reformed Stoic went on and called him an intel asset, and Jay Dyer couldn't handle it. Jay Dyer couldn't handle the heat. And that's what he does. He's talked to a Muslim asking if he believes in 3 literal gods, and he said yes, he does. Jay Dyer said that he believes in 3 literal gods. Not the Trinity, by the way. Not the Trinity. It has nothing to do with the Trinity. The Trinity is one God, 3 persons. One Godhead, one essence, and 3 persons distinctions. Jay Dyer literally said 3 gods. So, that's not what the Trinity teaches.
How many persons are there in the Trinity?
3.
Are they separated by time or space?
No.
So you count the persons by identity and not division, right?
Correct.
Okay, does God have one eternal attribute or energy, or more than one?
More than one.
Are his eternal attributes separated from each other by time or space?
No.
Okay, so you count the attributes by identity and not division, right?
Correct.
Okay, so if we count gods in the Trinity by the same method of identity, how many gods would we count?
Depends on what God picks out.
If we're talking about the persons.
3.
So there would be 3 gods if we counted by identity, and the same method that we count the attributes or eternal energies and the persons, correct?
Right. Little g God, as you know.
Okay, so there would be 3 little g gods. Thank you. How many persons are there in the Trinity?
3.
Are they separated by...
Okay, so I mean, Thomas Aquinas worked this out much later on in the Summa. Thomas Aquinas explained the one essence in 3 persons in the Godhead, that the ecumenical councils were not, I guess, sufficiently able to really do that. But Jay Dyer is Orthodox, so, and he's a clown anyways. This guy is a clown. This guy is an absolute clown. And there's even Orthodox that don't like this fucker. There's Orthodox that don't like this son of a bitch.
What's up, man?
Hello, I'm an Oriental Orthodox. So I basically believe Eastern Orthodoxy is incorrect, and I have a couple critiques.
So I'm me at his side.
So, I mean, this guy is Oriental Orthodox. And Jay Dyer runs away from the two natures distinction. So Jay Dyer is Greek Orthodox. He's supposed to be defending the two natures, the humanity and divinity of Jesus Christ. He doesn't do that. Like, this guy is basically kind of a theological troll. But take a look at this. If you're Orthodox Christian, take a look at this, man.
Hello, someone asked what my thoughts are on Jay Dyer. He's here on YouTube. He claims to be Orthodox, and I was told he claims to be an Orthodox philosopher. And someone else told me that Jay claims that the cosmological argument for God's existence commits the fallacy of composition. With regard to that claim, he is wrong. For him to even say that shows that he doesn't have a proper understanding of the cosmological argument. Dr. William Lane Craig has a video where he responds to bogus arguments made against the cosmological argument, and he specifically deals with the claim that it commits the composition fallacy. I'm going to reference that video below in the description. Jay does not know what he is talking about. Now, Jay is not an Orthodox philosopher. I had not even heard of him until recently, but I looked into him. And before I proceed, I want to apologize for this view. I'm not able to edit videos at this time. Unfortunately, there's a big crack on my windshield. I used and enjoyed Windows Movie Maker for many years, but it's no longer supported. And I don't have a new editing program, so this is going to have to do for now. It won't be a perfect video, and I have a bunch of notes I wrote down, and unfortunately I forgot my black St. J. So how do you justify using this secular name? You're supposed to have a saint's name. I believe it's Daniel, after Daniel the prophet. Forgive me if I'm mistaken. But why do you use your secular name? This doesn't make any sense. And I also want to mention here that YouTube is enforcing stricter policies now. They're removing videos and whole channels. So this video and my entire channel may eventually get removed in the near future, but I'm going to go ahead and make this video anyway. I wish I could show you the pictures of this man and video clips of things he said, but I can't edit videos at this time, so I'm going to tell you what I saw. Okay, there's a picture of him making the devil horns with his hand. Why did you do that, Jay? That's inconsistent with Christianity. Why did you do that? You have a lot of explaining to do. Okay. There's a picture of him with a big black shaggy wig. Actually, I don't know if it was in a video or a picture. But why were you wearing that, Jay? That's just plain weird, okay? Apparently, he's changed religions 5 times in the past 20 years or so. I guess he claims it was only 3 times, but I think the evidence might show it was 5 times, including rejecting Christianity around 2010.
Yeah, there's actually a clip from 2010 of him basically saying that uh, Kabbalah's based and that Kabbalah debunks the Trinity. There's actually a 2010 post of him saying that.
Okay, so he was an apostate in 2010, and he demonstrated interest in Kabbalah, which is occultic and demonic. Okay, these are bad signs about this man, red flags. He is under demonic influence. No doubt about it. He repudiated Orthodoxy in 2008 and claimed to be Catholic again, and he's admitted that he was only an Orthodox catechumen. So are you still a catechumen, Jay? If you are, you're not supposed to be teaching according to the rules of the Orthodox Church. Were you ever baptized? He asked for the best place to order discount voodoo spells in the French Quarter, or a discount voodoo spell in the French Quarter. That statement speaks for itself. I have nothing I need to say there. Okay. He admitted to smoking pot and said, quote, theological studies require a lot of weed, end quote. The word lot is all capitalized. Theological studies require a lot of weed. So this man smokes marijuana. Another bad sign. He posed in front of an inverted cross with a Wiccan this year, 2019. What are you doing that for, Jay? You're supposed to be an influence and an example on that Wiccan. See, you trivialize this. You made it seem like it's insignificant. That is very serious. You are of the devil. You are of the devil. He promoted music of a Wiccan singer. He promoted a Wicca website. He called a Protestant a retard and complete idiot in a discussion. That's mean-spirited and judgmental. If you want the heterodox to take you seriously, you need to be more gentle and kind and compassionate.
Okay, so if you ever want to have a walkthrough about why I'm not Eastern Orthodox, this is kind of the reason why. You have this guy called Gene. His channel is called JEEM. J2E's M. He's Orthodox, and he agrees with penal substitution. But right here, Jay Dyer denies that. He says that penal substitution, Orthodox shouldn't believe in penal substitution. So, these Orthodox guys, these ortho bros, can't even get their shit together.
Patient with people. He said the energies of God are not the nature of God, and another time he said the energies are the divine nature. So he contradicted himself. He contradicts himself. Idiot in a discussion. That's mean-spirited and judgmental. If you want the heterodox to take you seriously, you need to be more gentle and kind and compassionate and patient with people. He said the energies of God are not the nature of God, and another time he said the energies are the divine nature. So he contradicted himself. He contradicts himself. In a video, he has a poster of Esoteric Hollywood. It's written on the poster, Esoteric Hollywood. I saw this in his room, okay, in a video. So how do you explain that, Jay? He said God transcends logic at the ultimate reality. Again, God at the ultimate reality, God can contradict logic. Where did you get that from? That's not a Christian concept. I've never heard that. Logic is part of general revelation, tells us something about God. The idea that it's okay to contradict yourself and be illogical is Zen Buddhist. Okay, that's Zen Buddhism. This idea that it's okay to contradict yourself and violate the laws of logic. But he used logic. He assumed logic and reason, or he assumes logic and reason when critiquing others. He used the phrase, quote, it's pretty sweet, end quote. And that's another word. The way men use the word sweet today is another indicator. You know, these are red flags. Any man who uses the word dude or sweet is not someone I could take seriously on spiritual matters. The schismatic deacon Joseph Sweden, he claims to be Orthodox, but he's actually in schism from the Orthodox Church. He used the word dude in a video, okay, as did the man who works with him, Father Enoch. They use the word dude. These are, no, there's no way I could take these people seriously on spiritual matters. You're welcome to, but
This guy right here, by the way, he's not Roman Catholic, he's Greek Eastern Orthodox. Truth be told, 7 is his account name, and he thinks that Jay Dyer's an idiot.
I can't, okay? He said the Diamonds, Sedevacantists traditional monks, live in a trailer even after he was told that is false. So he's of bad will and he is a liar. That is false. They do not live in a trailer. See, and even if they were living in a trailer, I'd say more power to them. These are monastics. Living in a trailer is pretty ascetical, okay? But they're not living in a trailer, so don't lie about them. And he was on a show called Worski Live, where a lot of profanity was used and Jesus' name was taken in vain. He said,
"Oh, that's Andy Worski from the Kino Casino." Jay Dyer was talking to Andy Worski, who's on Kino Casino, or co-hosts the Kino Casino. Well, actually, I had heard about this, but anyways, like, I'm just saying that, let's see here, Jay Dyer. Yeah, all these Orthodox dudes do is just argue with each other. They all believe in the same stuff, in the same theology, and they can't even agree who is the ecumenical patriarch.
In which he rejected that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are the divine essence. Now he's pretending like he accepts this position, while failing to tell his followers that this language is...
Yeah, he, up until, like, back in 2018, he didn't even understand what the energy essence distinction was. In 2017, 2018, he didn't even understand what the energy essence distinction was.
Positing a separate and false God. There is no way around it. It's that...
This is John Chrysostom, by the way. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. This is Gregory Palamas. He didn't even understand what Palamite theology was until much later.
After we put out a video that refuted some of his errors, and in particular, his failure to recognize that there's no real distinction in God between a divine person and the divine nature or essence, even though the persons are really distinct from each other, Dyer then put out a video on February 19th, 2019, in which he explicitly taught that the energies are the divine nature.
So there are some who might be...
Yeah, this is not, by the way, this is not what is taught in Orthodox theology or Palamite theology.
Be new to this topic and would be surprised to learn that St. Gregory Palamas affirmed that the energies of God are fully and wholly the divine nature too.
This should be all you need to see to recognize that Jay Dyer is a false teacher of the devil. He blatantly contradicts himself, and in fact...
Now, in regards to him being a false teacher of the devil, I'm not as judgmental as these guys are. I'm not going to be, like, fanatical and judgmental. I'm just showing you what Orthodox, what Oriental, Greek Orthodox, and Roman Catholics that actually are real believers, what they actually have to say about this Protestant convert. Because, like me, Jay Dyer grew up Protestant. He converted to Roman Catholicism, and then converted to Orthodoxy, and then reconverted to Roman Catholicism, and then converted, I think, he was a practicing Kabbalist, and even a Buddhist at one point. He was actually a Buddhist at one point, and then at some unknown point, he reconverted to Orthodoxy.
He abandons the core position that he claims to hold. His position is and has been that the energies are really distinct from the essence. That's the Pelamite position. Now he's teaching the opposite. And no, he did not just misspeak. He is now saying that the energies are the divine nature. To just expand upon how absurd and ridiculous this is, Dyer repeatedly teaches that the energies are really distinct from the essence or nature, and that it's crucial to make that distinction.
We believe that the energies of God are distinct from the essence of God. This is again why there's a distinction between the actions of God or the energies of God and who God is as a person and God's essence, right? So there's an essence energy distinction, which is very crucial for us.
That means that the energies are not the essence or nature. For example, when we affirm that the three divine persons are really distinct from one another, that means that the Father is not the Son is not the Holy Spirit, etc. So we don't say that the Father is the Son, precisely because the Father is really distinct from the Son, and vice versa. Therefore, if you affirm that the energies are really distinct from the essence or nature, as he does, it's a direct contradiction of that to turn around and say that the energies are the divine nature.
So this is among one of the reasons I do not believe that in this uncreated energies and essence stuff. Okay, this is something that some weird Orthodox guy from Greece came up with. And maybe for the time it was pretty clever, but keep in mind that this was before Thomistic thinking, Thomistic philosophy came along, and Thomistic philosophy just basically really outmatched that. Oh, here he is with this occultist. This is him with the occultist guy and the upside down cross. And Jeem will deny this. Jeem will flat out deny what's going on here. Okay, look at this. Here, let me show you this. What's the best place to order up a discount voodoo spell here in the French Quarter? I think he's talking about New Orleans. I'm not for sure. And yeah, Interdimensional Lizard is right. IDL is right. This is scandalous. Even compared to other Orthodox people, this is ridiculous. Let's see here. Oh, here is his retraction from Eastern Orthodoxy. And he actually claims that this didn't happen. Several months ago, I posted anti-Catholic material in these forums, and I want to retract what I wrote. I have returned to the Catholic faith several months ago, and I also abjured my previous errors of sedevacantism. For all those I offended or caused scandal against, I sincerely apologize. Jay. Oh, here it is. Here's the Kabbalah thing. Okay. Jeem will deny up and down that this ever happened. Okay. Jeem Apologetics does not want to talk about this.
Commune or weird initiation rite or anything like that, but I thought maybe esotericism has something to it. I read a lot of the perennialists, and I read a lot of the Platonists and the Neoplatonists. And I looked at maybe the Kabbalah, which is a more or less a version of Platonism or Neoplatonism. Maybe it has some answers. And so I read several Kabbalistic works, and there was accusations even at the time. People would say orthodoxy and the essence energy distinction is just Kabbalah. And so I thought, is that true? Well, maybe if that's true, maybe the Kabbalists are right.
For those who don't know, Kabbalah is a Jewish method and school of thought. It's interesting that one rabbi defines it as, quote, a part of Jewish tradition that deals with the essence of God. Whether it entails a sacred text, an experience, or the way things work, Kabbalists believe that God moves in mysterious ways, end quote. When Dyer says that he got fed up with Christianity and thought that maybe the Kabbalists are right, that means that he rejected Jesus Christ. He apostatized from the Lord Jesus Christ. His apostasy from Jesus around 2010 would constitute at least his fourth major change of religion, and it demonstrates that Dyer lied when
he changed his religion 5 times.
Said that there were only
I'm not
3
making
such
this
changes.
up either.
So really, there've only been like 3 major religious conversions in my life. Changes of mind, you could say. So I'm going to give you all the juicy details, and you can have all the gossip, and you can hear it directly from me.
His eventual return to Eastern Orthodoxy would be his 5th major change of religion. And we are not talking about changing a position or a point of view on a matter within a particular religious confession. We are talking about the number of times Dyer has changed his religion. There are at least 5 major changes of religion for Dyer in the past 20 years, and the true number might be higher. Now, remember that Dyer got fed up with Christianity after having supposedly spent a lot of time studying the Church Fathers, studying St. Thomas, studying Protestantism, Catholicism, and Eastern Orthodoxy. After all of that investment in what he considered Christianity, Dyer rejected the very foundation of Christianity itself, Jesus Christ. That's because Dyer was, and still is, sadly, a man. I especially like to get really high and read the doctors of the Church. It's best to try to do canonical studies when you're blitzed, too. In fact, I had to get stoned off my ass before I finally grasped the apophatic nature of the divine ousia, as opposed to the experiential nature of the not technically becoming. This was followed by another post on a different website on September 23, 2008, in which Dyer affirmed that he had retracted Eastern Orthodoxy and returned to, quote, Catholicism. Here's what Dyer posted in September of 2008, after having already been a Baptist, a hardcore Calvinist, a, quote, Catholic who is deeply into Catholic theology, and a promoter of Eastern Orthodoxy. Dyer wrote, quote, several months ago I posted anti-Catholic material in these forums, and I want to retract what I wrote. I have returned to the Catholic faith several months ago, and also abjured my previous errors of sedevacantism. For all those I offended or caused scandal against, I sincerely...
All right. Now, we just simply say, no, it doesn't.
What the fool doesn't understand is that the position that God is pure act with no potentiality is directly connected to the dogma that God is immutable or unchangeable. That's because every actualization or realization of a potential involves a change. For example, if a man is 180 pounds and has the potential to be 200 pounds, when he actualizes or fulfills that potential, he has undergone a change. He is different. The man exists in a new way after having actualized that potential. That's true of every actualization of a potential. It always involves change, and it proves that the thing which had the potential to be actualized was subject to change. But God's divinity is not subject to change. He is absolutely immutable in his divinity. That's not Greek paganism. That's the dogma.
Okay, here's where he admits about the filioque. How are you doing, 3-4 the second? Are you going to be streaming later or what? Yeah, watch this. This is pretty hilarious.
In this video, we will be debunking Jay Dyer. My friend Christian B. Wagner and Unionist Initiative have a channel called Distinguio. They made a video on relations of opposition where they prove the filioque from the doctrine of relative opposition. Jay Dyer in this video commented the following, quote, the Cappadocians, whom you haven't read, answer this. Hypostatic properties distinguish, not opposition, and hence why the Father is the sole cause, as the Cappadocians say, relations aren't relations of opposition, because opposition relates to a dyad, not a triad. But thanks for confirming you have a dyad, as St. Photius said, haha, end quote. Here we see that Jay Dyer rejects the doctrine of relations of opposition and says the Cappadocians teach hypostatic properties and not relations of opposition. And here's Jay Dyer in a stream with Christian B. Wagner saying the same thing.
So he does not talk about opposition, relations of opposition. That's an Augustinian.
Basil talks about opposition and contronomium.
Relations of opposition in the Trinity is an Augustinian idea.
What are you talking about? St.
You know what
Augustine
I'm
doesn't bring
talking
up
about. Relations of opposition is
opposition
not used by the Cappadocians.
It's not
Everybody
unique
read
about
St.
feminine.
Basil Contra Eunomian, book 2, 28.
Relations of opposition, not relation. They talk about relations.
Now, the problem with what Dyer says is that he has no clue what he's saying. The Cappadocians teach that hypostatic properties are distinguished by relations of opposition. St. Basil the Great in Contra Eunomius 2:28 says the following: As light and light, there is no opposition between them, but as begotten and unbegotten, one considers them under the aspect of their opposition. The properties, idiomata, effectively have the character of showing the alterity within the identity of substance. The properties are distinguished from one another by opposing themselves, but they do not divide the unity of substance. End quote. Clearly here we see that St. Basil is saying that the hypostatic properties distinguish themselves by opposition. This is relative opposition. Jay Dyer has no idea what he's talking about. So clearly, Jay Dyer is wrong. He's been debunked.
Okay. This is what happens when you don't study your theology very well. Okay? And Jeem, I hope you're watching this because I think you have a lot of good potential, Jeem. I don't hate you. I just think that your two godfathers, Drake Shelton and Jay Dyer, are a bad influence on you. And I don't think you should convert to another religion or nothing like that. I just think that Jay Dyer and Southern Israelite are bad influences on you, Jeem, and I hope that you just come to your senses, you know? And I'll pray for you, Jeem, but Jay Dyer is actually worse in a way than Southern Israelite. Well, they're both assholes. Like, I was trying to talk in his chat, and I've been asked by Greek and by others to debate this guy. And this guy is like basically, I don't know, really confused. I say that he's Eastern Orthodox, but he just seems really confused. I don't think he knows what religion he is, to be honest. Like, I don't know what he thinks he is, but there's definitely something wrong with him. He ran away from a debate with Southern Israelite, too. He couldn't even answer this Oriental Christian about the two natures thing, and that's something that he, as a Greek Orthodox, is supposed to defend. Like, he's literally supposed to be defending that. So let me show you where he runs away from Jay Dyer. Here it is. He literally runs away from a debate with Southern Israelite, too.
Well, he just pointed out that Chomsky's theory of language is no good.
Again, you don't know what you're talking about.
That's inconsistent. I mean,
No, it's not. There are plenty of philosophers who believe that. You can believe. I can believe that all knowledge is from sense experience, and I'm not a blank slate. Why couldn't I?
Because all knowledge would not be through experience. It wouldn't be empirical. It would be
all knowledge. I could be created with innate beliefs or properties. This is called empirical idealism. There are empirical idealists. Kant was an empirical idealist. He believed that the mind had categories stamped onto it.
Yeah, I mean, it's inconsistent. That's all I'm saying. It's just because people call themselves empiricists doesn't mean that they're consistent with what empiricism means.
Yeah, so you're using people that you don't accept their definition of what metaphysics is, who write anti-metaphysical treatises.
I'm neutral view on what metaphysics is.
No, I'm not at all.
So then you're admitting then that I'm those guys are materialists. So we share a basic, and I'm a materialist, and so we share.
Materialism is a metaphysical position. It's a metaphysical position, dummy.
You're using that term according to your paradigm. My paradigm is materialism.
The both of you are retards.
Are the powers physical?
It's like nouns and verbs.
Look, he runs. He runs away. Watch.
I thought
Dude,
you
you-
believed that.
See? He runs.
Look at me like a little fucking bitch, dude.
Concepts and meaning. Meaning is not physical, dummy.
Contradictions and meaningless gibberish is a RK in the mind of God. I thought
Dude,
you
you-
believed that. Look at me like a little fucking bitch, dude. Jay runs away whenever he's losing. This is why he was not going to debate me. And notice, not one passage of scripture that I cited was he even remotely able to address. And
Look at that, dude. He ran out. Ran straight out, dude. Let's see here. Reformed Stoic. He also, when Stoic called him like an intelligence plant, he just kicked Stoic from the call. Okay, I guess I can't find that one, so yeah, anyways, that's fucking Jay Dyer for you. I was in his chat about an hour or so ago. I was talking to him, and I was explaining that he was talking about the papacy. I said that the Holy Spirit proceeds from both the Father and the Son. And I also explained, I used Matthew 18:16 to talk about St. Peter. And he wouldn't even respond. Like, he would not respond to me about it. And so one of his mods blocked me. So I found that quite hilarious. But yeah, I want to tell you something about Jay Dyer, and not too many people know about this, but thankfully, I'm fortunate enough, and he's done this with other people too. He's stolen material from other people, but Jay Dyer knows who Rick Perry is, my friend Rick Perry, and he actually, this is funny, but he used his wife's Facebook to go into Rick Perry's Facebook and steal material from Rick Perry. And Rick Perry is a Latin, by the way. Rick Perry believes that the Apostolic Church there's different facets and nuances to the Apostolic Church. But basically, Rick Perry had some stuff about orthodoxy that he wrote down in his Facebook. And Jay Dyer used his wife's Facebook to steal material from Rick Perry to use. And he never credited Rick Perry for his work on that. And I found that absolutely hilarious. And this guy claims that he's read The Ethics by René Descartes. But honestly, I don't even think that he's read any of that stuff. And he's just stealing material online from other people who actually did the work, that had the citations, and he's just ripping material from whoever he can because he's not a good logician. He's not a good philosopher. His epistemology is very seriously flawed. And I'm not going to, this is not an attack on orthodoxy, by the way. This is just an attack on this fool. This guy is a fool. I'm glad that I never followed him. I'm glad that I never fell for this guy. This guy is like, he's a big personality in the Ortho Bro movement. If you ever look around or do a Google search on YouTube or anywhere else, like maybe Reddit or TikTok, and like you look around for conversion to orthodoxy, you probably will end up running into an Ortho Bro, and you can absolutely bet that Jay Dyer has had some influence or a influence on the Ortho Bro movement, because he's very well known. He's quite well known in the Ortho Bro movement. But like, there was this guy on Reddit that said that he used to be a friend of Jay Dyer, and up until really not that long ago, 2015, he wasn't even that serious about orthodoxy. Supposedly, he converted in 2003. So for like 12 years after converting, he didn't even seem to care that much about orthodoxy. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, let's see, Reddit. Former Jay Dyer friend. Like, basically, Jay Dyer's a grifter. Like, Jay Dyer's a grifter. You could actually say that he's a lot like Matthew Heimbach. I don't think that he's quite the lol cow as Matthew Heimbach or Matt Heimbach, but this is kind of the signals that this is giving me, is that he's a lot like Matt Heimbach in a way. He's got the Matt Heimbach themes to him. Like, he's got the Matthew Heimbach, like, lol cow themes. He's just more better known. I don't think that he has, like, the strong extremist ideological undertones that Matthew Heimbach has, but that's what he reminds me of. I didn't really know much about Jay Dyer until quite recently. Relatively recently. I kind of think that he's not a good argumenter or a good debater, and he's just basically a grifter out there. Anyways, he won't debate like people who are actually serious about this stuff. So anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit about Drunken Surfer. I put Drunken Surfer in the title because last night he was in the middle of some bullshit with me about Canada and saying that Canada should conquer the United States. Well, I'm going to tell you right now that that's an impossibility, simply because there's like 30 million Canadians and there's 350 million Americans. Probably actually a lot more too, because America actually reached its 300 million landmark in 2006. That's a long time ago. But like, there's 30 million something Canadians, and there are 300 something million Americans. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, it's 331 million. I take that back. Okay, Canada is not going to take over the United States. They have less than 1/10 of the population of the United States. Okay, and we did beat you in the War of 1812. We beat you in the Battle of York. And you guys want to talk about how you burned down the White House? First of all, that was not Canadians that did that. That was British. That was just regular people from the United Kingdom that did that, and it wasn't really any Canadians. Another thing too, Code of Truth. In 1755, the Acadians were actually kicked out of Nova Scotia, and they were forced to leave to Louisiana. And the reason why they were kicked out of Nova Scotia was because they refused to take the oath to the crown and renounce Catholicism and become Anglican. So, Code of Truth was in the Discord trying to say that the British defended French Canadian Catholics or protected their Catholicism from Americans. Well, actually, in 1755, the British tried to force the Acadians to renounce Catholicism and swore an oath of loyalty to the crown, and a lot of them refused to do it, and they were expelled from Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, Labrador, and St. Edward's Island, or Prince Edward's Island. And that's why a lot of them went to Louisiana and to New Orleans. And so you're actually wrong about that. It's called the 1755 Acadian Expulsions. So, yeah, here it is. Expulsion of the Acadians. And it will say right here that that the British tried to force the Acadians to renounce Catholicism. So, that's your folly, Code of Truth. It's another one of your follies. But anyways, Drunken Surfer has been arguing with me a bit about Canada and stupid shit like that. I think what it is, and I think we all know what it is, Surfer is mad because I didn't want to go talk to a fucking idiot about Planet Kolob and space Mormonism, because Bronx Beats was in 3-4's chat. I was there to enjoy what 3-4 was doing. And Bronx Beats just comes along and demands, telling me how to run my life and telling me that a certain idiot that thinks that Jesus is from Kolob was doing a stream and that I should just call in. Okay? Well, I've said my piece with that. I've made my peace, and I made my bed with that years ago. And I don't understand how someone could be so stupid to think that I'm going to talk about how Jesus is from Kolob. Okay? No. So I blocked Bronx Beats because I'm not doing this shit. I'm not going to argue with that stupid dumb shit. Okay? Like, the Council of Evil is defunct. It's been defunct for years now. I'm not going back into that. I'm not going to go back into that stupid shit. So I blocked Bronx Beats, and Total Janny Death says that it's a win. It's a win because I don't want to talk to a fucking idiot that thinks that Jesus Christ is from Planet Kolob. And I don't want to get back into that fucking dumb shit. And so that's what's going on. It has nothing to do with Canadians and Americans or whatever. It has everything to do with me blocking Bronx Beats because I don't want to hear about space Mormonism, pirates, or whatever, and Planet Kolob and some kind of weird Mormon Dungeons and Dragons roleplay. And I don't give a shit about that. And that's the last person that I want to ever talk to again for the rest of my life. So, fuck that. And if this is the kind of people, the kind of lowlives that you people are, then I'm actually all the more glad to get out of this dump of a sector. Just this absolute dump of the sector. Because, like, dude, Drunken Surfer has gone from cleaning PPP's toilet to cleaning Ethan Ralph's toilet now. That's the only change. The only change was the owner of the toilet, and other than that, everything has stayed the same. So, those were my thoughts. I'll go ahead and read the chat now. Interdimensional Lizard says, Scandal. Third for the Second says, hello, sir. Third for, I will be streaming in an hour and a half. Yeah, I won't be able to make that. Stay blessed, not stressed. He's something. Jay Doomer, coward. I'm not sure that Stoic is a reliable source, TBH. I doubt he can read. Alright, I'm off to make dinner. Have a good one. Alright, so, yeah, Jay Dyer has ran away with his tail between his legs. He couldn't handle the heat of the forge. Alright, so I'm done. Y'all have a good day. Forge Gang! I am still a heart man! Let's go! Willie McDuff says that Surfer's rage is as impotent as his country's. Oh, I would agree. 30 million Canadians are not going to stand up to 330 million Americans. Okay? So, like, we need to raise the fucking tariffs. That's all I gotta say. Alright, have a good one. I'm out.